do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly I never thought of myself, as someone who paid close attention to details. I'm the kind of person who loses their keys 3 times a week and forgets what they walked into a room for. Small things just don't register with me the way they probably should. My mom used to say I could walk past a burning building and just think it was a bonfire. But there was one afternoon where I noticed something small, something that most people would have picked up and put back down without a second thought. And that one small moment of paying attention changed everything. For me, for my family, and for a man who had spent years counting on nobody ever noticing. I was 15 at the time. I was over at my friend Tyler's house like I was most weekends. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly Tyler and I had been friends since middle school, and his place was basically a second home to me. His mom, Stacy, was one of those genuinely warm people who always made sure there was food and always remembered your name. His stepdad, Justin, was a doctor, successful, calm, the kind of adult who seemed like he had everything figured out. I had no reason to think anything was wrong in that house. I went to use the bathroom at some point during that afternoon. It was the upstairs bathroom, the one the whole family used. Clean, ordinary, nothing out of place. Except there was a phone charger plugged into the wall outlet next to the sink, just a standard white block charger. The kind that comes with every phone, the kind that sits in every bathroom in America. I almost didn't touch it. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, but something made me look at it more closely. Maybe it was the angle it was positioned at. Maybe it was just dumb luck. I picked it up and turned it over in my hand. There was a small lens on the front. I stood there for a few seconds just staring at it. My brain kept trying to explain it away. Maybe it was some kind of weird design. Maybe I was looking at it wrong. But I knew what a camera lens looked like. And that was a camera lens. I took it home with me that evening and showed my mom. She called the police. What happened after that is something I still have trouble fully processing even now. Investigators examined the device and confirmed it was a hidden camera. And they pulled the recorded footage from it. There were thousands of images. Thousands of people showering. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly people changing, people using the bathroom, guests, family members. Me, I had used that bathroom more times than I could count over the years I had been friends with Tyler. The camera had been there the whole time, but that wasn't even the worst part. As the investigation expanded, Tyler eventually came forward with something he had been carrying alone for years. He told investigators that his stepfather Justin had been sexually abusing him since he was 11 years old. I keep thinking about all the times I sat at their kitchen table, all the times Justin asked how school was going, all the times I thought he was just a normal guy who happened to be a doctor. Justin tried to flee to Europe while under investigation. He was arrested at Dulles International Airport when he came back. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, but even after he was in custody, even sitting in a jail cell waiting for trial, he wasn't done. He sent letters to a family acquaintance laying out a plan to have Tyler killed. He wrote that the person should wait in the driveway and intercept Tyler when he got home from work. He wanted it done painlessly. He wanted the body buried in a forest or burned in a barrel. He was trying to have my friend murdered from inside a jail cell. The plan was discovered before anyone was hurt. In February 2024, Justin Rutherford was sentenced to 26 years and 10 months to 70 years in state prison. He received an additional 5 to 10 years for the murder-for-hire plot. His medical license was permanently revoked. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly Tyler. Said something after everything came out that I've thought about almost every day since. He said that when Justin wasn't in what he called monster mode, he acted like a good dad, and that's what made it so confusing for so long. I picked up a phone charger on a random Saturday afternoon because something about it felt slightly off. I still don't fully understand what made me look, but I'm glad I did. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly my husband and I had been married for 6 years, before we finally took a trip that was just for us. No kids, no family dinners, no obligations, just a long weekend somewhere quiet with good weather and no reason to be anywhere at any particular time. We found a rental property on Airbnb called Cielito Lindo Ranch in Kendall County, Texas. The photos looked beautiful, the reviews were positive. It had that kind of peaceful rural feel that made you want to exhale just looking at the listing. We booked it without hesitation. The drive out there was already relaxing. The property itself was exactly what the pictures showed. Open land, quiet, a comfortable house with good light, and a kitchen we could actually cook in. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, we brought wine and groceries, and for the first time in what felt like years, I genuinely felt like I could just breathe. We spent the first evening on the porch watching the sun go down. We went to bed early. We felt completely alone out there in the way that feels peaceful rather than isolating. We had no idea that we were being watched from the moment we walked through the door. I didn't find out until almost 8 months later when I got a phone call from a detective in Kendall County. The detective told me that the owner of the property where my husband and I had stayed, a man named A.J. Ali, had been arrested. He told me that investigators had found hidden cameras throughout the rental property. Cameras hidden inside objects in the bedroom, in the bathroom. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly positioned to record guests in their most private moments. He told me that my husband and I were among the victims. I remember sitting down on the floor of my kitchen because my legs just stopped working. I kept asking the detective to repeat himself because I couldn't make the words connect into something that made sense. We were in a private rental. We had paid to be there. We had closed the doors and pulled the curtains and believed completely and totally that we were alone. We were not alone for a single second of that trip. When investigators went through Ali's confiscated electronics, they found more than 2,100 images. At least 30 separate guests had been recorded. Couples, families, children, do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, I later found out, that another guest had actually found one of the cameras during his stay months before our trip and reported it to Airbnb directly. According to court records, Airbnb sought permission to tell the host about the complaint before contacting law enforcement. The listing stayed active on the platform for 5 months after that first report. 5 months we stayed there inside that window. Ali pleaded guilty to 6 criminal charges. He served 1 year in jail, 1 year for over 2,000 images, 30 victims' cameras in the rooms where people slept and showered and believed they were safe. I think about that trip differently now. I think about every moment we thought was private, every moment we thought was ours. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, and I think about the fact that somewhere in the world there are images of those moments that I will never be able to get back or erase or explain away. One of the other victims said something in an interview that I've never forgotten. She said, "This isn't my social security number or my email address. This is my naked body." That's exactly it. That's the only way I know how to describe what was taken. I check every rental property now before I put my bag down. Every smoke detector, every clock, every charger plugged into any wall. I check because I know now that the assumption of privacy is exactly what people like Ali count on, and I will never make that assumption again. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, I moved into the rental house in Aiken County, South Carolina on a Thursday in late March. It was a small house, single story, older but clean. The landlord had seemed normal during the showing, friendly without being overbearing. He answered my questions, handed over the keys, told me to reach out if anything needed fixing. The kind of landlord interaction so uneventful that you forget it happened. 10 minutes after it's over, I was 27 and starting a new job in the area. I didn't know anyone in town. I had a few boxes of stuff, a mattress, and about 4 months worth of savings to get myself established. The house was affordable and available, and that was honestly all I needed it to be. I lived there for almost 8 months. I cooked dinner in that kitchen every night. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, I watched TV on the couch I set up in the living room. I got out of the shower every morning in that bathroom and got dressed and went to work. I had friends over twice. I brought a date home once. I did all the ordinary private things that people do inside a home they believe is their own. I had no idea that every single moment of it was being recorded. I found out the same way I imagine most people find out about something like this. A knock at the door. An official-looking man who introduced himself and asked if he could come inside. He sat down across from me at my kitchen table and told me that my landlord had been arrested, that investigators had executed a search warrant on the property, that they had found hidden cameras installed throughout the house. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, he asked me how long I had lived there. 8 months, I told him. He wrote something down and nodded slowly. What came out over the course of the investigation and the eventual trial was something so large in scale that I genuinely struggled to hold it in my head all at once. My landlord had not just installed cameras in my house, he had installed cameras in multiple rental properties he owned across the area. He had been doing it for years. When investigators tallied up the full number of people he had secretly recorded, the figure they arrived at was 20,000. 20,000 people. People who had rented rooms, rented houses, moved their things in, and set up their lives inside spaces they believed were private. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly people who had gone to sleep at night with no idea that the walls around them were watching. I was one of 20,000. The case went to trial in Aiken County in September 2024. The jury deliberated and came back with a verdict of $45 million in damages. It was the largest privacy invasion judgment in American history. I remember reading the number and feeling something I didn't expect. Not relief exactly, not satisfaction, something quieter than that. Because $45 million doesn't give you back the 8 months. It doesn't change what was recorded. It doesn't make you stop thinking about the night you had friends over for dinner, or the morning you got dressed for your first day of work, or any of the 100 ordinary moments you thought belonged only to you. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly I moved out of that house the same week I got the knock on the door. I've rented 2 places since then. I checked both of them before I unpacked a single box. I looked inside every smoke detector, every wall outlet, every object positioned anywhere near a bedroom or bathroom that had any reason at all to be pointing in a particular direction. My current landlord noticed me doing it during the walkthrough and asked what I was looking for. I told him I was just checking the ventilation. I didn't know how to explain the real answer, which is that I'm one of 20,000 people who learned the same lesson the same hard way, that a home is only as private as the person who owns it decides it should be. Do whatever she wanted. We rented this cute little house that was mostly, and sometimes the person who owns it has already made a very different decision before you ever turn the key.